Good evening. This is a recording for TE 424 TESOL. You should not take this if you've already taken that class 470. And I don't think anybody's taken foreign language 470, which is no longer in existence, but just reminding you, I don't want you to waste your money. Okay, now this class is online, obviously. We'll make it pretty convenient. I almost do all my online classes in the graduate area, so this will be a little different. I know some of you are around here, so you can come see me. Need to have physical contact and say hi and all that. What are we going to be doing? Well, our goal is to look at TESOL, which in its original iteration was a class in teaching English as a second language. TESOL is often referred to teaching overseas because the organization teaching teachers of English to speakers of foreign languages, generally that TESOL in the magazine and the organization is all associated with teaching overseas and not teaching in the United States. When I got my degree a few years ago, people would ask me, where are you going overseas? And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll teach in the United States. And they thought, well, no one teaches English as a second language in the United States. And of course, they didn't know what they were talking about, because even then there were many people who needed English and weren't getting it. But of course, with the general trend of refugees and migrants and all kinds of people coming in the United States for all kinds of reasons, there was a huge opportunity for you to teach. And so one thing I want to emphasize in this class is your opportunities to teach overseas, because if you're young and you have mobility and you don't have a lot of needs, you're not tied down, you'll have options. I've had a lot of students go and they taught in Thailand, maybe Vietnam, but I know China, and obviously many in Japan. I've had in Canary Islands, England, maybe in the Middle East. I'd have to check because I've had many students over the years. But the vast majority of them are teaching in Grand Island, Kearney, Omaha, Houston, and different places in the United States. A lot of them somewhere in Nebraska. There's a little difference, but essentially you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it in a different environment. So if you're teaching English here, the students will have all kinds of opportunities to learn speaking and listening in English, but you're going to be focused more on teaching the academic English. Whereas if you teach overseas, the students need the whole package. And generally that's one of the situations. Also, if you teach in the United States, and I've got some of these as some of the questions, I don't know if I'll answer them all in this video, but you get certified in the United States to teach English as a second language. Nebraska is not the primary certification. You have to have an elementary or a high school English degree, and then you can add on the ESL, and that's why it's fewer hours and you can add it on, which is very advantageous. If you don't want to stay in school and double major, you don't have to. But if you go to other states, if you go to Colorado, you go to California, they may have additional requirements because each of the 50 states can have variations. And that's the same if you're an elementary teacher and you decide to go to another state. They may have more classes for you to take, more hoops to jump through. So that's a little bit about that. One of the things that's important in this class is we're going to talk about kind of from the ground level, this basic information about English second language. I'm going to put up some information about where the ESL students are in the United States. And you know where a lot of them are, but you may not know that if you teach in Maine, the people that speak a second language are probably French speakers. In other words, their first language, if they're learning English, they may be from Montreal, they may be from Africa. There's some tribal groups in Africa that have French speaking. Some are Arabic speaking, and some are English speaking, like the Sudanese. But just because you speak English in another country doesn't mean it just meshes immediately with the United States. No two languages, even of the same language, are exactly alike. The spoken language can be quite unusual and different. Even if you speak to someone who's from Australia, you'll have to wait and kind of pay attention to pick up on a lot of the expressions, et cetera, and so on. And if you move there, or you move to India, you will find different ways of speaking English that you may not even recognize at first. So I mentioned a little bit about the background credentials. If you teach overseas, you can teach with a U.S. teaching degree, but that usually only applies on military or American-controlled places overseas. If you're going to teach at a school in, say, Korea or Japan or maybe Europe or Africa, you may not need any kind of certification. You may just simply have some classes in ESL, and they may not recognize an endorsement in ESL or even elementary. Each country has their own rules about teaching. English language teaching is often, unfortunately, a lot of people operate schools who shouldn't be operating them, and they try to coax people into enrolling their kids in them, and they promise them, you'll have a native speaker. And I know one of our classes last semester, we actually had somebody visit who's living in Gibbon and who gets up at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning and talks to children, and I believe in China or Japan, and talks to them for about 25 minutes and gets paid a certain amount of money through PayPal for that. That person's certified in the United States, but these individuals over there don't really care if they're certified. They just want to make money. So there are a lot of, it wasn't unusual even now that people will just grab a tourist and say, come and be in my class for a day or a week and I'll pay you $500. And that sounds great. And then you find out that they just needed somebody who spoke English so they could just make it look good, you know. So ESL is an area where there's a lot of scoundrels. And if you're going to do a professional job, there are programs like the JET program, Japanese English teaching, I think it is. In Japan, you can go in, you have to qualify, and you can be placed in their programs in their schools. Also, private individuals will pay you. But you want to make sure you don't give them your passport and become some kind of a English language teacher who's owned by the company for a while. So, and what we're going to be doing this semester is I plan to have us interview some people overseas, hopefully live if we can arrange it, but we'll have recorded so you can find out what it's like to teach English in the Netherlands or in maybe England, or, you know, just different situations. Because once you go abroad, you have so many opportunities, good and bad. We're going to talk about professional organizations, about resources. I'm going to throw the book at you. Hopefully a lot of it will stick, a lot of this stuff. But I don't want to go so fast that you don't pick it up. Now, you know I don't give tests. I don't operate that way. So we're going to be doing a lot of discussion online. And we're going to do some Zoom where we talk. Like if you were all on here, and it's like the Brady Bunch and your little pictures are up there and you were talking to me. I love that stuff. It's great to do Zoom. Great discussion. Hope you like the beret. I added it at the last minute just to let you know you're special. Our book is related to the PSYOP, which I teach in the 328. And that'll be the class I teach on Wednesday nights. but it's related to it, but it's not exactly. I'm going to talk about the PSYOP, and I'm going to give you some background in different ways that English has been taught. There'll be some readings. I've arranged this with a series. You'll see them in color. This is black and white. But I try to put questions for each week that I'll try to address and focus on. Give us a little bit of focus, and I will focus on these questions. And I want you to do your introduction, and I've already put it up, and I want you to talk about yourself, and I want you to write something. Now, several of you will know each other from being in class, but I know there'll be several of you that have not or won't be here in person. So it's very important for all of you to participate and put your entries in. I will be grading those, and if you just decide to just skip it and not do a very good job, then I'll punish you for it. I'm not much of a punisher, but it matters on an online class. And I'll do another video and give you some information about ESL students, where they're located in the United States, and so I'm going to try to do a few more things differently, both the Zoom between us and also an opportunity. You'll be interviewing a teacher, but you'll have the opportunity to interview somebody via Zoom, so they don't have to be anywhere near Kearney if you're happening living here. They can be in another country or whatever. So I guess a group of students from Central City, who are in Japan teaching right now, and I'll try to arrange for them to, hopefully you'll be able to talk to them live. I think it'll be interesting, but you obviously know the time difference is about 12 hours, so somebody's going to be getting up early. And if you want to do that, it's good if you want to actually teach overseas to do that. You can look at the topics. I got one essay for the semester. I've got a lot of discussion. There'll be at least, I may have 10 or 12 of those 10 pointers. May have a few more in the plan. And then I want you to do an interview and I'm going to keep it pretty basic, informational. Do make sure you participate in those discussions every week. If I don't see your name there, you're going to get a blank. So, you know, I'm not a particularly tough grader at all, but if you just skip assignments, you will suffer the consequences. So that's one thing I'd be careful with. The book, you don't need it the first week. You'll need it really the third week is when we'll start reading it. And there'll be a lot of videos I'll be putting on here. Sorry, it's been a long day. My son's been in the hospital, so I've been in the hospital a lot this weekend. But things are good, so I'm going to look forward to getting some rest. If there's anything else you need, just let me know, and I will make you popcorn if you show up on Wednesday nights. And I would mention, for those of you who are in SEAN, we are going to start meeting on Tuesday nights. I'll send out an email, and Miriam and Delaney hopefully will be part of those emails or send those out. Jude is going to be gone for a couple of weeks, so she's going to be doing presentations in Florida, so she gets to fly back home for a couple of weeks while she does her professional stuff. I don't know if there's anything else I'd ask, but if you need anything, just let me know. I don't think I'm going to add another video, so we'll just do this one video for this week, and I may add stuff along the way to be expected to watch. So take care, and I hope to hear from you soon.